I'm Elicia Maine. I'm the Van Dusen Professor of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Simon Fraser University's Beatty School of Business and Special Advisor on Innovation across SFU, advising the VP Research and providing strategic oversight for SFU Innovates, our pan-university innovation strategy.
Hi, Elicia. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really appreciate it. Obviously, you're someone who's got a lot of experience in Vancouver's innovation space, and the region is emerging as a clean transportation technology hub. So I'd like to start by asking you to define, in your own words, what clean transportation means for you.
Thank you, Tim. So when we talk about clean transportation, we're talking about the transition that we need to make to zero emissions by 2050. And transportation is a big part of that. So here in Vancouver, we're an emerging hub of various forms of zero emission vehicles and the technologies behind those and the components around them, as well as a leading area in Canada for active transportation and shared transportation.
You play a big role at Simon Fraser University in terms of the innovation work that takes place there. What role do you see the region's research universities playing in the clean transportation sector's development? And who would you identify as the main institutions or players within that ecosystem, and what are the different strengths?
So you may know that Vancouver is a pioneer in fuel cells, in the hydrogen economy, and actually less known in lithium batteries and lithium ion battery manufacturing. So Vancouver goes way back from research into trying to address our climate problems through changing clean energy options. And that goes back to Ballard's days and to the first actual lithium ion battery manufacturing in North America, as well as the first fuel cell manufacturing in the world. Universities and the talent coming out of them are a key reason why Vancouver and British Columbia are world leaders in the clean energy transition and in clean energy transportation. And it is the research that's gone into fuel cells and particularly PEM fuel cells and making them less expensive, lower capital cost, longer life, able to operate in more challenging conditions. It's research that's gone into, in the past, into lithium and lithium ion battery manufacturing and development. And it's research right now that's going into as well carbon capture, storage, and utilization. So this is happening at all three of our major research institutions in BC, Simon Fraser University, University of British Columbia, and University of Victoria. And it's particularly in our chemistry departments, physics, sustainable energy engineering, chemical engineering, and materials engineering are the areas that are really fueling these new developments in clean energy transportation.
Within the clean transportation space, do any companies come to mind in terms of those that are pushing the boundaries and driving the way forward in Vancouver and the region?
Sure. You can't talk about clean energy transportation and clean transportation without thinking about Ballard and their storied history here in British Columbia and in Burnaby, BC. And they were far ahead of their time, but they have seeded an ecosystem along with the NRC Fuel Cell Innovation Center, nurtured a generation of talent and a number of companies that have spun out of that early investment and expertise. For one thing, Daimler and Mercedes-Benz came to Canada and came to Burnaby, BC because of Ballard. Another company that comes to mind is Ionomer, who's working on next generation technologies in that area. And Loop Energy is here in Vancouver, as well as a number of companies that are working on hydrogen distribution and looking at the entire supply chain system of enabling this rollout of clean energy technologies.
When we're speaking about all these new clean transportation technologies, obviously research and development is key. Um, as somebody who has a lot of experience on the academic side of that, how do you see the interplay or collaboration between academia in the region and those businesses like the ones you just mentioned? How do you see that commercialization from the academic sector into the private sector occurring? And are there organizations or services that bridge the two to make that possible?
So, absolutely, Tim. We have a thriving sector here in British Columbia with centers such as the Foresight Cleantech Accelerator Center is one of those bridging organizations that's linking academia with industry and both new startups as well as the resource sector companies that could use to use some of these technologies in their clean energy transition. There's also organizations such as PICS, the Pacific Institute for Climate Solutions, that tries to link these developing university inventions to problems that they can solve and to research pilots. Federally, Sustainable Development Technology Canada plays an important role with seed grants and larger alliance partnership development. And municipally, both Vancouver and the Metro Vancouver region are playing roles with innovation centers and trying to look at novel financing. Provincially and federally, there's been a new low carbon innovation center announced that Shell is also taking part in. All of these bridging organizations and programs are important to the building of this sector.
So, Elicia, obviously you have a lot of exposure to different companies, different technologies in the clean tech and the clean transportation space in Vancouver and in BC. Is there one in particular that gets you really excited in terms of the transformational impact it could have on our economy, on society going into the next decades?
So the first technology that I would say is exciting and that BC is playing an important role in is carbon capture, storage, and utilization. And there's two companies in particular, Carbon Engineering and Savante, that are playing very important roles here in BC and around the world in those spaces. Being able to capture carbon directly out of the air, as in the case of Carbon Engineering, and being able to make low carbon fuels and also to store that carbon. In the case of Savante, being able to make processes lower carbon intensity by being able to capture and store carbon. Those are things that can be applied right now in our resource intensive sectors, in our emissions intensive trade exposed sectors. The second area, Tim, of technologies that I'm very excited about here in BC is hydrogen and all of the possibilities from the hydrogen economy. I'm excited about it because BC gets most of its electricity from renewable sources already. So we are sitting on the potential for truly green hydrogen production, where there is no emissions in the process of generating hydrogen from water and electricity. And then we can use hydrogen as a means of storing intermittent renewable sources of energy and as the fuel for clean transportation in trucking, marine applications, ferries, boats, trains, and buses. There's people working on hydrogen for aerospace as well. The other thing that's exciting about the potential for hydrogen as a new area of economic generation for BC and a way of addressing the clean energy transition is that hydrogen is going to be essential to hard to decarbonize sectors such as emission intensive trade exposed industries. And so hydrogen has a role to play both in transportation as well as in decarbonizing our heavy industries. And Canada has a lot of work to do in that area.
If you had 30 seconds to pitch foreign investors within the clean tech space as to why they should consider Vancouver for the next investment or expansion, what would you stress to them?
So, Tim, I'd stress that we have world leading research going on in the clean energy transition. that we have incredible talent across the technical fields in particular that feed this sector, and that we have history and established companies around the ecosystem. And equally importantly, we have a population that embraces the clean energy transition. We have the highest uptake of electric vehicles in Canada. People are on e-bikes everywhere, and it's a hotbed for innovation in this sector.